We're going to do a short presentation. Hopefully we're going to keep this to 45 minutes. But if we go over, I'll try to stay on for a little bit to answer people's questions, but you can feel free to hop off and hop on at any time. So the Summer Internship Program is listed underneath CSRPC, which is the Center for the Study of Race, Politics, and Culture. So the center of the CSRPC mission is we are a hub of research and incubator of anti-racist praxis. We advance scholarship, arts, and public dialogue about the centrality of race and racism in the systems we inhabit. CSRPC, we believe in the possibilities of a just campus, city, and world, people working across disciplines, intersecting identities, geographies, and ways of knowing, relationships where everybody is both student and teacher, and in spaces of growth, compassion, respect, freedom, and joy. So the Summer Internship Program is really birthed out of that mission. This program supports UChicago undergrad students, graduate students, students graduating in 2023, and community interns with funding for 10 weeks of full-time work in racial justice or abolition organizing at movement spaces. We can get into criteria for these different categories later on. So based on some feedback last year, we're hoping to expand a little bit beyond just an internship. We're hoping to create more spaces for community building through cohort gatherings, workshops, check-ins, and skill shares. For stipends, so undergraduates will be offered a $6,000 stipend, and recent grads, graduate students, and community interns will be offered $8,000 stipends. So stipends are going to be issued at the beginning of the summer, and they can be used to support any kind of work-related expenses, including travel, housing, living, and healthcare expenses over the course of 2023, over the course of the summer. So an overview of the timeline. So we published the application on February 22nd. We have our internship info session today. The applications will be due on the 22nd, March 22nd, and we'll have a review period from March 22nd to April 5th. And in that time, people who are going to be moving on to the next level will have internship interviews with both our host organizations and with me, depending on whether or not you're applying to specific positions with our co-partners or with an organization you already have a relationship with. We'll share decisions by April 7th, and then we'll ask that people share whether or not they'll be accepting the internship by April 14th. So this is the program overview and timeline. I won't go into too much detail. These are kind of vague dates, and they'll be more specific once the actual cohort is selected. It'll be a summer with obviously the internships themselves, but we'll also have an orientation, some check-ins throughout the summer with me, and then also workshops that will be the content will be largely directed by what people's interests are. Then we'll also have a closing Skillshare event where we'll gather and people will be able to learn from one another's experiences. And then we'll have a end of summer evaluation. So eligibility for applying is you can either apply with a secured unpaid internship with a relevant host organization, or if you have interest in specific positions offered by our 2023 partner host organizations, which are the Real Youth Initiative and the Prison+Neighborhood Arts and Education Project, who are on the call with us today. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to our partners for this year. We'll start off with Real. If you guys want to introduce yourselves, talk about the organization that you work for, and a little bit about the position that you're offering, that'd be awesome.
Hey everyone, I can start off and then I'll pass it to Denzel and Destiny, just with like a brief personal intro. And then we have a few slides that we can share to go into if this is the right time to do that. That these were made like a few months back, but I think it characterizes like the scope of our work. So my name is Tommy. I use he, him pronouns. I'm the co-director of the Real Youth Initiative. I also graduated from University of Chicago 2 years ago, and I've been working since graduation with Real Youth Initiative. And I'll pass it to Denzel.
Hey everybody, I'm Denzel. I'm 23. I'm a co-founder and co-director of the Real Youth Initiative. and yeah, I'm from Chicago. I guess I can, or will the slideshow be kind of going through some of the like origin, so we don't gotta, or do you think we should like just kind of say a little bit of it now? But yeah, I'll pass to Destiny, so I give an intro as well.
My name is Destiny. I'm also the co-founder and director of Real Youth Initiative. And yeah, I guess we can get into the slides and we could just bounce it off of each other.
Can everyone see this? This
Yep.
okay, yeah. You all see that? That's showing full screen, right?
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, I guess Denzel and Destiny, do you want to start with like a little bit of the origins of Real? So this is our logo.
For sure. I'll jump in and yeah, so Real came about as me and Destiny were both incarcerated. So at the age of 15, I was incarcerated, and Destiny 14, and I'll let Destiny kind of speak more to like, you know, her stuff. But yeah, while incarcerated, we spent 5 years in total inside. So just through that experience being around, you become to like understand the environment, and it really was an environment that was conducive to trying to really help young people like make it in life. And being that like we came from like already kind of like, you know, kind of like all type of situations in life that kind of didn't prepare us as well to like succeed. Just seeing a big system that, you know, houses a lot of young people, and tons of payroll and lots of resources being allocated, but nothing even really to like help support people as they come home. So at the tail end of our sentence, me and Destiny both were at the same facility and in a library, not doing anything because we didn't have any like, you know, college things for us. So we were already high school graduates. So we sat together and started, you know, asking one another like, what do we want to do when we come home, and like what are our plans and different things like that. So we went through and like talked about skills that we both had and like jotted down notes, and then we started thinking about like what can we do to like kind of stay together and also work towards the things that we're passionate about, which is like the people around us and like friends and family that like deal with like the carceral system. So we like started talking more about like how can we develop some type of organization or something to, you know, connect us to this work that we're in now, but also like, you know, stop places like this from like, you know, being here and, you know, having young people come home and pass away and having friends like come back, you know, and being targeted by police. So yeah, we were released, and then I like passed the Destiny to my bad.
Yeah,
Like what's a
I can
good
go
segue?
ahead and jump in. I wanted to be clear about, you know, the facilities we were in. So from the age of 14 to the age of 19, which was 4 years, I was held in at the Juvenile Temporary Detention Center, which is called now Cook County Juvenile Detention Center. That's on 1100th and Hamilton. Throughout my time there, um, you know, it was like a holding facility for people who hasn't been found guilty or not guilty, um, or I guess heard for whatever they're being held for. After doing 4 years there, I then was transferred to IYC Chicago, which is a juvenile prison. Um, and I spent the year there, and that's when I got to really build a relationship with Denzel, even though I was seeing him throughout the Cook County Detention Center. Because we were graduates, we were able to sit in the library, and, you know, have conversations. Not really, like was able to, but, you know, those during that time, I had built relationships with staff and was able to like, you know, move about the facility and do certain things. So during that time spent at Warrenville, like Denzel said, we had conversations about like how do we want our future to look? What do we want to do once we got home? Um, and the biggest thing that stood out was having something of our own that we can contribute to, but also build capacity and support for other young people that look like us and that may be in the same situation as us. So through that, Real came about. We got out. We actually didn't develop Real as soon as we came home. We got up on our feet. We went to college. We got a job opportunity with another organization. But as soon as that organization collapsed, we brought Real back up. And we've been doing Real since August of 2021. So yeah, I guess, Tommy, do you want to add something to that, or you want to get into the slides?
Yes, I came on in August of 2021, after Denzel and Destiny had secured a fiscal sponsor to help launch Real. And I guess I can speak more about, we didn't really like do a public launch for Real until August of 2022. So we like developed a kind of, program plan and started operating for the first year, but without much of a public profile. And in doing that, we kind of like, crystallized the mission and vision of Real, and also came up with this logo that will make more sense as we get into the mission and vision. But basically, like, something we teach about in our weekly workshops inside juvenile prisons is about, developing revolutionary consciousness. So like my family comes from Northern Ireland, and I had always been like raised on like a, steady diet of revolutionary consciousness around decolonization in Northern Ireland and the kind of treatment of Irish Catholics under British occupation, and the kind of like links of solidarity, whether it's in Palestine or South Africa, or, in the US, in the kind of prisons and, colonial violence that the state inflicts on poor people in our country. So we thought that this was a fitting, inspiration for our logo, which represents two hands clasping, one through broken bars and one still being incarcerated. So with that, the mission of Real is that Real develops revolutionary consciousness and builds community amongst currently incarcerated and formerly incarcerated youth or young people in order to work towards the abolition of prisons and the conditions that reproduce them. And the vision is that Real strives to provide an exit ramp for directly impacted youth from the routes of death or incarceration. Real is convinced that young people who have had to and continue to navigate life during and post-incarceration are the best possible guides for others facing the myriad of threats stemming from police violence, incarceration, and community reentry. In order to ensure the safety and growth of directly impacted young people, Real believes it is not only necessary to offer employment, educational, and recreational opportunities, but also to work towards dismantling the historically racist systems that attack and threaten our community and build power for directly impacted youth in Illinois and beyond. I can pass it to Denzel and Destiny if you want to explain like what our Real Insight programming consists of.
Yeah. So the Real Inside programming, we go to the 3 northern facilities, which is Chicago, Warrenville, and St. Charles, and we facilitate weekly workshops with the young people, focusing on revolutionary political education and reentry preparation when they close to coming back to their communities. We also screen movies weekly, so the week that we don't go in, we do screenings at the prison, similarly focus on anti-patriarchy, anti-capitalism, anti-imperialism, and abolition. And when the prisons allow transportation of young people, we have tried to organize, because this is old, we have organized field trips out in the community with community partners such as PNAP. And yeah, these are some of the pictures of us and them in the community.
As you can see, we're very, allied with PNAP. So I feel like if you're interning with PNAP or interning with Real, like there will be a lot of crossover.
Yeah, definitely connected heavily, heavily affiliated. Real Talk Revolutionary Education Series. So inside our meetings and workshops, we like to discuss theory and kind of like radical and revolutionary ideas. So some workshops have entailed racism and critical theory, critical race theory, restorative and transformative justice, anti-patriarchy, beyond the gender binary, sex, health, and consent, history of capitalism and socialism, decolonization and anti-imperialism. And currently, kind of like one of the more exciting and more present projects that we've been working on lately is the Sostre Zine project. So we're in connection with Project Nia and Garrett Felber to develop zines with young people who are incarcerated at the facilities that we program with and have members inside. So if you don't know, Martin Sostre was a political prisoner, and he was Black and Puerto Rican from Buffalo, and opened up a bookshop and got framed by police and sent to prison for from 40 to like 60 years by all-white jury, and had amazing international committees and did a lot of work to bring him home, but also he did a lot of work himself, being inside a jailhouse lawyer. And my bad, not to go into his life and everything, but it's a really exciting project we have now. Actually, we're going to New York pretty soon for the Beyond the Bars conference, and also his centennial like birthday celebration. He's passed away now, but the young people inside have been like working with us closely to like develop the project. So it's like just really cool, and something we've been like developing with the young people. Yeah, I'll kind of continue. Also, community reentry programming, and I would kind of like, oh yeah, this is more about like us. We work to like develop plans for young people as they come home, and that might look like securing housing or getting IDs and coordinating a lot of stuff. So we've been doing that. We could go on because I think we kind of get into the fellowship. So yeah, this is kind of a and maybe I'll pass it back to you, Tommy. You can go ahead and announce the fellowship too.
Yeah, so another core part of our work is the Renaldo Hudson Reentry Fellowship. So we offer year-long fellowships to young people who have recently come home from prison to support them in launching and leading a program that like contributes to our larger abolitionist community of directly impacted young people. So it's named after Renaldo Hudson, he describes himself as an artist and an activist. But wears many hats in the abolitionist community. And he himself had served 37 years of incarceration and came home in 2020 after receiving clemency. And because of all the incredible work he does, we thought he would be a great namesake, and the support that he gives to our program. So we currently have 5 fellows who have launched a series of a number of different programs, including reentry basketball tournaments, movie screenings for young people on the outside, exercise and nutrition workshops, and healing circles. And at each of these spaces, we try to center some form of revolutionary political education. So even in our basketball league, like we pass out literature about Martin Sostre, about Fred Hampton, about read speeches together and kind of try to convene some form of revolutionary political education, but also like building up a safe space where directly impacted young people can come together and build community and get food and resources. And then lastly, I'll kick it to Destiny if you want to explain the reentry fund.
So the Real Youth Reentry Fund is basically designed for well, I can say it was designed after the Chicago Torture Justice Center Survivor Repair Fund. Our Youth Repair Fund works to repair harm done to young people in Illinois and youth detained or not detained, in detention or incarcerated. The Youth Repair Fund basically is used for any young person that's coming home to help them with any support they need as far as groceries, clothing, housing, utility bills, and anything else outside of that they need to just sustain and be on the right track. We have, I can read that. This one's
So this is actually, sorry, this I can stop sharing now because that one I realized we also adapted for a different meeting, like with the Let Us Breathe Collective, who's a partner that we work with. But I think like just to elaborate on the work of the internship, I think I think it would primarily revolve around a number of those different stuff, and it can be adaptive to like what you are most interested in the work of Real. but I think our description describes like support with the curriculum of the Real Talk Revolutionary Political Education workshops, support with some of our fellowship programs, and like documentation of a lot of the stuff that we have going on, in addition to some other like fun project ideas that we have for over the summer. But obviously, like we want, the internship to be meaningful and fulfilling for you. So we'd also work with you to make sure that you like aren't just doing like administrative work for our organization, but also like, contributing and like owning a project that you're excited about within our organization.
Great. I want to pause right there to see if people have questions about Real, about the program on the whole, and then we'll go into hearing from PNAP about the positions and organization that they have to offer. Cool. Okay, well, thank you, Real, for giving that spiel. Real's an amazing organization, so I'm really, really excited that we get to partner with them this year. They'll also stick around for a little bit, so if you have questions later on, you can ask that too. So now I'll pass it over to Eliza.
Real quick, just a shameless plug to follow us or to be in contact. I'm just gonna drop our link tree, so like feel free to like check out our website or follow us on Instagram and like to stay in touch with us. And even if you're like not interested in the internship, like there's many other ways that you can plug in. So please reach out if you're interested in getting involved.
Hey y'all, I'm Eliza. Inspired by Rule, I'm gonna screen share so that you have something to look at other than my face. So these photos that the slideshow is gonna play through is from our graduation this past October inside Stateville Prison, where I believe 5 students graduated with their bachelor's degrees through the University Without Walls program. But yeah, so I'm Eliza. I use she, they, and we pronouns. I'm part of the Prison+Neighborhood Arts Project. I'm our communications and community organizing coordinator. So I plan events for us, like political education events. I do some grassroots fundraising. I run our social media, and then I make our newsletters for our inside and outside communities. Also, Beth, I just realized since I'm screen sharing this, I cannot see the chat. So once I am near 10 minutes, please just unmute and let me know. But yeah, so PNAP was founded in 2011, and we have been operating off of volunteer labor until about 2019, 2020. So we've had like a recent burst of growth. But we teach classes inside Stateville Prison, which is a men's maximum security prison, about an hour and a half away from Chicago. We started off only teaching arts classes, but since then we've now run a degree program that is optional. We try not to have any limitations in people accessing our students on the basis of having a high school diploma or the length of someone's sentence. Although for a degree program, you do need a diploma, but a high school diploma, but it's the same classes that the rest of our students are taking. And so we offer college level classes with a focus on the humanities, social justice, Black studies and ethnic studies, gender and sexuality studies, feminist studies. And then we also have recently started incorporating math and science classes. In addition to our classes inside Stateville, we also have a justice, policy, and culture think tank where our students meet to discuss issues related to legislation, pushing cultural norms. Those students were some of the founders of Parole Illinois, which is another incredible organization in Chicago trying to get parole in Illinois. And in addition to that, we also do a lot of outside work. So some of that work entails we work with learning fellows at Northeastern Illinois University, which are formerly incarcerated people pursuing degrees. We do a lot of like cultural programming. So we do events with formerly incarcerated folks a lot of times, tabling events. A lot of our students will have art and exhibitions, so supporting various exhibitions around Chicago. So we do a lot. And because of that, there's like a wide range of stuff that the internship could entail. But we have broken it into like 3 main areas. On our like where it lists our internship descriptions, it does have like ideal years in college, like undergrad and junior, or grad student, things like that. That is just a suggestion. If you really like us and you think you're like the most qualified sophomore in the world, feel free to apply. But just take note of those as you do apply. But yeah, to run through some of our positions. So the first one would be working with Walls Turned Sideways, which is a gallery community space that will be opening on the west side in June. We really want to have a space where ourselves we could display the work that our students inside are creating, and then also have an artistic space for our systems impacted family members to be able to come and engage in art and come together as a community. So that position will be helping staff Walls Turned Sideways. You'll be working with our learning fellows, formerly incarcerated folks, to plan events. We have a mural project that we've been doing for at least a year, where we have classes inside where students will design murals and then we'll paint them in the neighborhoods that our students are from and have them live there permanently. So you will be helping out with that project. You'll be developing a publication of all the murals in that series. And then I also would like to plan one large summer event, like a block party, a garden party, outdoor tabling, something fun, something lit. And in that capacity, we'll also be working with Real on that. And then all of our roles, including this one, will be having a weekly check-in with me, where we'll be updating each other on internship progress, and then also engaging in some political education. And then our next role we'll be working with our justice, politics, and culture think tank, and with our higher education team, which runs our degree program inside the prison, and our think tank is also inside the prison. We could not say yet whether or not this position would be going inside the prison. That would be a conversation we would need to have, but this position would be corresponding with students inside the prison. So you'll be working with our think tank on a Humans of Life Row project. You'll be a research assistant for incarcerated students, and they will have a lot of research requests. So you will learn a lot throughout it. And you'll also be helping us like bring in student work, keep track of student requests, things of that nature. It's a bit more of an administrative role, but engaging with the students will be really, really fun. And then you'll also be doing some legislative training for our think tank, and helping them get a sense of how legislation is passed and how they could build support for proposed legislations they have. And finally, we have a Logan Correctional Center and communications and organizing intern. So we also, as of this month, will be starting to do programming inside Logan, which is a women's prison about 3 hours away. We'll only be doing monthly programming there because it's so long, but we would like to continue some of that programming. So this internship would be helping plan events, like political education events and community focused events related to some of the work that was developed in our first session of going inside Logan. You'll be helping coordinate meetings and facilitating meetings related to our Logan project. You'll be liaisoning with the prison and with incarcerated students. So that is what that will entail. And these are all hybrid positions. And if there's like an aspect of one position that you want to do and an aspect of another that you want to do, we could be flexible in trying to like kind of like build your own internship. And I think that is everything I would need to add. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should say. I guess one thing I will add is if you would like to correspond with students or go inside the prison, which going inside the prison wouldn't be a guarantee at this point, but if you apply for a role where you will be corresponding with students, you will need to get limited clearance. And IDOC does have some limitations on people that have limited clearance corresponding with anyone who's incarcerated in IDOC through GTL, which is like their email service, or on the phone. So during the duration of your internship, you might need to be careful about that and keep any correspondence you do only inside the classroom or through our like classroom correspondence systems. But yeah, that's everything from me. If anyone has any questions, I will stop screen sharing.
I had a question.
Mhm.
For the second position that you discussed, you mentioned helping with research or resource requests. I'm interpreting that to be like a kind of like librarian type role. But can you just give a bit more information about what sort of research requests might come up?
Honestly, describing it as a librarian is pretty accurate. Our students will have a variety of research requests, which is what I meant by saying you'll learn a lot. A lot of them will be related to social justice. Like they might be asking like, hey, can you research like this bill? Or one thing a lot of the students have been interested in is the issue around the water issues in Stateville. So Stateville doesn't have hot water. The water's coming out brown. The water is infected with Legionnaires. So they might be interested in like legislation related to like environmental justice, or like how things have gone down in other states related to that. One student has really been interested in like construction related math. Like he requested like a 200-page textbook related to construction math. He's like really in his nerd bag right now. So anything, it could be like anything from like Black studies to like water issues to construction math. So essentially it'll be like a librarian, like pulling out resources or like directing them in other directions that might be interesting. Sometimes they'll request specific books. Sometimes they'll request just like anything related to that you think would be relevant. Is that helpful?
Yeah, thanks for clarifying.
I'm looking at the question in the chat. Just to clarify, Sarah, is this a question for the PNAP positions or the internship on the whole? Like, would you be coming with a secured internship or interest real or PNAP?
For both of them, if you'd be able to elaborate on that.
I can speak to PNAP. So they're flexible in the I would have to check with the rest of our team before giving a definitive answer. They're more flexible in starting after the day we have, because I would want us to have our summer semester started, as that could be a busy time for us before we onboard any interns. I definitely think doing the first 2 weeks remote would be more feasible, just because I would like to have all interns onboarded, ideally at the same time. But we could definitely be flexible, especially if it's just like a 2 weeks pushback.
And then in terms of the internship on the whole, if you're coming with an internship and the timeline is maybe a little bit different from PNAPs, that's totally fine. The hope is that there's at least like a chunk of time where interns are overlapping so that we can have some type of like cohort, like community model for a good chunk of the summer. Tommy, Denzel, and Destiny, do you guys have a sense of how strict the timeline is for you all?
I think our
Yeah.
timeline is pretty flexible. I think the only thing that is time sensitive is that the fellows are turning over, like their fellowships end in late June. So I think if someone's interested in like helping with that transition period and like the onboarding of potentially new fellows, like it would be preferable to start like sometime in June to July, but we're flexible. I think. Destiny, did you have something, a thought on that?
No, I was just gonna say we're pretty flexible and can work with you all's schedule. There's no like concrete time at all.
All right, thank you so much.
Are there any other questions before we're going to hear a little bit from Indigo, who was an intern last year? Do people have questions before we move on? No? Cool. All right, Indigo, take it away.
Hi guys, I'm Indigo. I can speak on last year, and I guess just to give a little bit of context, because my internship looks slightly different. I've been with PNAP, I want to say like 3 years now, since summer of 2020. Just kind of doing like an array of different like positions. I kind of started working with University Without Walls, which is a subsection within PNAP that works directly with like education and things like that. So I started out doing mainly transcriptions of like correspondence work and homework assignments that were written. I would type them out and stuff like that. I still do that. And I've just kind of jumped from different places. As of last summer, I combined the CSRPC internship with a Davis Projects for Peace grant. And I facilitated a class on Afrofuturism and world building at Stateville Prison. It was a 7-week class that I co-facilitated with our managing director, our former managing director, Timmy Chow. Yeah, so it was a class that culminated in an exhibition at Haymarket House. And part of that was me developing syllabi and acquiring readings that go into the prison and doing like the logistical side, and then also facilitating inside the prison. So I would go inside weekly, which was the first time I consistently went in the prison. I would go inside for like my work with PNAP to drop off materials and things like that. But that was the first time I was actually building relationships with people inside. And those are relationships I continue to have since that class has ended. I also had the opportunity to take a class inside with Alice Kim and Kathy Cohen last fall, which was a mixed enrollment class that was led at Stateville Prison. So part of going in the summer has helped me establish relationships that I now get to continue as someone who works for PNAP and as someone who just has built those relationships. I guess I can talk a little bit about the exhibition. The exhibition was kind of the culmination of a world building kind of freedom dreaming-esque class. So art workshops that were led during my time inside were then brought out to the exhibition, and people came. It was like a 2 or 3 week exhibition that ended in a big event that PNAP did. And yeah, people had artwork and poetry, spoken word. I think a lot of writing, so people could see like their writings handwritten on papers and things like that. I guess I can speak on my skills and stuff that I built there. Probably a lot of I've taught before, but that was the first time I taught inside. So it was definitely a new experience for me, kind of navigating a prison and navigating prison administrative things, which is kind of stressful, but we have a good support team at PNAP, so that was really helpful for me. And also just facilitating any sort of classroom was a really new experience for me. So thinking about what sort of questions to direct conversations, how to navigate conversations, what does it look like to facilitate making community agreements, all kinds of stuff. And then, yeah, I can talk about more if people have questions. I can't think of anything concrete, but I've definitely gained a lot of confidence in being able to teach and also facilitate. And you also learn so much inside from the guys inside. I think will teach you more than you'll teach them. So that has been a really great experience for me. And after, I think you have I had such a deep connection with people, which was really nice to go away with. But if anyone has specific questions, I can try to answer those. I've worked in, I think, enough facets of PNAP where I could probably answer to any department.
That's cool if people don't have questions either. We're also coming up against time. We have about 3 minutes left. Indigo, thank you for sharing that. So you've heard from the partners that we have for this year. You've heard from me about the overview, and you've heard from a past intern. If you have other questions that haven't been answered in this info session, feel free to email me. My email is in the application and on the website. Yeah, I'll give 1 minute. Go ahead, Eliza.
Oh, I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but can I share the Senate bill that needs witness slips?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, so I mentioned Parole Illinois earlier, which some of our students founded. Right now, one of the bills that those same students helped write is in the House, and it needs witness slips, and it would qualify folks who have served at least 20 years to be up for parole, because Illinois does not currently have a parole system, which means we're essentially giving people life sentences. And then so that's the link to fill out the witness slip, and then these are the instructions. And if you want to do it but leave the meeting before then, you go to our Instagram at this link, you can also see the same instructions.
I think that's like also a good taste of what the summer will be like. I'm hoping that it'll be a constant share of everybody's work, because there are natural intersections, obviously with Real and PNAP, but also with other internships that people will bring to the table. So if you're looking for a community that's kind of based in activating one another, that I hope that this is a space for that as well. And with that, I'll call it. I'll stay on for like 2 more minutes after this, but I'll stop recording for now. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you to the presenters for sharing.